Alright, everybody, welcome back to another Davis's weather live stream. This is an emergency update stream here. We just got word that there will now be a day 2 high risk of severe weather issued by the Storm Prediction Center for sections of Mississippi and Alabama. This is the 4th time, and there it is. Oh my gosh. Day 2 high risk has officially been issued, everybody. A day 2 high risk of severe weather is now in place for Saturday, March 15th, 2025. This is an unbelievable situation, guys. Day 2 high risk. Again, if you're not aware, this does not happen often at all. Again, this has only ever happened a couple of times in all of history. And whenever this happens, we know that we are going to have one of the most catastrophic outbreaks in years. Sometimes even decades. So, we need to break down everything this stream. We need to talk about this. Please, I encourage you guys so much to share this stream. If anybody at all, knows anybody in the Midwest, the Southeast, whatever, we need to let people know about this because a high risk of severe weather has just been issued on the Day 2 SPC Outlook for one of the first times ever. So give me just a second. Again, this is one of the biggest things that we've ever been live for. Let me go and pull up stream chat. How's it going, everybody? Again, this is crazy. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get stream chat up. It's being very slow. I'm sorry. Again, a Day 2 high risk of severe weather just issued by the Storm Prediction Center for sections of eastern Mississippi and central Alabama. Again, the second time that this has ever happened, or one of the first few times this has ever happened, not necessarily the second exactly, but I'm going to go ahead and get my iPad real quick so I can go ahead and read stream chat. I will be right back, everybody. We need to talk a lot about this, so I'll be right back. And of course, I come back and my iPad's dead. Anyway, though, let me go ahead and see if I can get stream chat to work. Okay, here we are. So, again, guys, we now have a high risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. Oh my gosh. With a 30% hatched tornado risk for sections of eastern Mississippi and central Alabama. If you don't know, this is the highest level of outlook that can possibly be issued by the Storm Prediction Center, and we have it in this situation tomorrow. This is unbelievable. Again, how's it going, everybody? We're going to dive into things here in just a second. I really got to catch my breath because I literally just got home and got this news. Again, I don't even believe this fully. Again, a Day 2 high risk of severe weather has been issued by the Storm Prediction Center. If you're just now tuning in, this is the highest level of Storm Prediction Center outlook that can possibly be issued, and they're issuing it 2 days out, meaning that there is a high confidence from the Storm Prediction Center of a widespread destructive tornado outbreak. Again, the moderate risk, the level 4 out of 5, surrounding that goes now from sections of eastern Louisiana back through western Georgia. The enhanced risk encompassing areas in the orange shaded region, then our slight risk outside of that, and our marginal risk goes all the way from Canada back through the Gulf. So, again, the new Storm Prediction Center summary here, there is a high risk of severe thunderstorms in central and southern parts of Mississippi as well as Alabama. Summary, a tornado outbreak is likely on Saturday across the central Gulf Coast states and deep south into the Tennessee Valley. Numerous significant tornadoes, some of which should be long-tracked and potentially violent, are expected on Saturday afternoon and evening. The most dangerous tornado threat should begin across eastern Louisiana and Mississippi during the late morning to afternoon, spread across Alabama late day into the evening, and reach western portions of the Florida Panhandle and Georgia Saturday night. I am just genuinely shocked in this moment. I was not expecting this, but here we are, guys. Again, it's official. We now have a day 2 high risk of severe weather. Again, for context, this is one of the first times this has ever happened. A lot of you guys probably remember the April 27th, 2011 outbreak. If we take a look at the April 26th outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, the same situation that we're in now, they only had a moderate risk. So, does that mean this event is going to be bigger than April 27th, 2011? Absolutely not. But there is more forecasting confidence in this situation than there ever has been that we are going to see one of the most destructive tornado outbreaks in potentially history. So, again, we need to go over everything this live stream. Again, not only are we dealing with a high risk of severe weather for tomorrow, but we also have a moderate risk of severe weather today, and activity is already starting to get going, in fact, in sections of Missouri and Kansas right now for that event. That is driven by a 15% hatch tornado threat, but the bigger reason we have a moderate risk of severe weather comes from the wind threat. We are expecting a large-scale derecho to be possible, all the way from sections of Missouri back through areas like Indiana. So we're going to break that down, and again, discrete supercells do look to be a possibility for areas south of the line through portions of the mid and lower Mississippi Valley, so we are going to be talking about a potentially significant tornado threat through those regions as well. But anyway, again, we are just, I'm still trying to process this. Again, high risks in general only come about once a year, but a day 2 high risk comes about once every 10 years. So again, this is one of the more significant tornado outbreaks that probably any of us have ever seen, be expected, and forecasted this crazily from the Storm Prediction Center. I mean, this is insane. Again, a 30% hatched risk of tornadoes now in place for sections of Mississippi and Alabama. If you're not aware what that means, there is a 30% chance of a tornado touching down within 25 miles of any given point, and there is at least, but in this situation, well over a 10%, probably close to 30% chance as well, of a significant and damaging tornado touching down within 25 miles of any given point. Now, a lot of people think that means, oh, there's only a 30% chance we see a tornado tomorrow. No, absolutely not. That means that there's a 30% chance that we see a tornado tomorrow in Birmingham, a 30% chance that we see a tornado tomorrow in Jackson, Mississippi, a 30% chance that we see a tornado touchdown in Tuscaloosa, Hattiesburg, Hoover, Alabama. All these areas are included in our 30% hatch risk. So if you are in that pink shaded region, or the red, or the yellow, or even the brown, you need to be on high alert and be more sure than you ever have before that you know where you're going to go if a tornado strikes. In these situations, the way that people get hurt is they're not playing it safe. They go outside, record the tornado, debris gets flung at them, and unfortunately, we do end up seeing fatalities from that. We don't want that to happen, obviously. So what we need you to do, if a tornado warning gets issued today or tomorrow for your location, you need to get underground if you can. Now, obviously, that's not an option for everybody, but for the folks that have basements, make sure you do that option first. The next best thing is going to be a storm shelter, like an above-ground storm shelter, if there's one nearby. Sam, thank you for the $2 dono. Everybody spam the W Sams in chat. But anyway, we need you all to take this very seriously. And if you can't get into a storm shelter, what you're going to want to do is get on the lowest floor of your building and get in the middle of it. You want to get away from the windows, get away from the exterior walls, because those are the things that collapse first whenever we see significant tornado events or just tornado events in general. And in this outbreak, we are going to see a lot of that, unfortunately. Again, there's some people saying that, you shouldn't hype this up and call it a tornado outbreak. It will be a tornado outbreak. The definition of a tornado outbreak is 6 tornadoes or more within a 12-hour period. We're going to see well over 6 tornadoes. I hate to say it, but again, it's insane. Again, I'm trying to catch my breath here because I literally just got home, but we're going to dive into the forecast here in just a second. Again, we are going to be live later today for the derecho event that is, again, already just now starting to get going in sections of Missouri. There's the high risk on Radar Omega. It literally feels shocking to see. The last time we saw this was May 6th, 2024. Yeah, we did, Bethany. Again, this is just unbelievable. Again, a 30% hatched tornado risk in place now. Oh my goodness. Again, I'm quite literally in shock right now. I try to keep things as nonchalant and try to keep people as calm as possible, but again, this just seems like it's going to be something devastating. Again, a high risk, the highest level in the Storm Prediction Center scale that can possibly be issued. Now out for tomorrow for sections of eastern Mississippi and central Alabama, and I sincerely wish we could say we didn't see this coming, but this is such an unbelievably potent setup that we did. If you're not sure what we mean by that, we're going to take a look at the 12Z HRRR model here. We'll dive into today's event in a little bit, but we need to focus on this. Look at this, guys. This is tonight. This isn't tomorrow. This is tonight. We have discrete supercells developing across the lower Mississippi Valley. These are going to have the heightened chance of producing a strong to violent tornado anywhere that those track through, and as long as they remain discrete, damaging winds and large to very large hail are also obviously going to be huge capabilities. Now, we are going to see some very, very slight stabilization in the atmosphere potentially over night to night for tomorrow's event. This could lead to a potentially slightly lower tornado threat for tomorrow. However, by 7 a.m., we've already got supercells going. We've already got ourselves tornadoes potentially touching down. And again, that only continues to become more intense. All right, we're going to see a big-time line of supercells develop here across sections of northern and central Mississippi. And any one of these is going to have a potential to produce a strong to violent tornado. And this is where things get the worst, in my opinion. This is one of the most intense HRRR runs that you will ever see in your entire life. It is showing numerous discrete supercells, all with the capabilities of producing a strong to intense tornado, tracking across southeast Mississippi, making its way through portions of Alabama, staying discrete at times. Again, this is just unbelievable. Again, the only saving grace here that we have is that they're not entirely discrete. All right, they're not going to be able to stay on the ground for 17 hours because there are going to be other supercells choking them off. However, look at this. These little bean-shaped guys. This is what makes us think that we are going to have one of the most significant tornado outbreaks that we've seen in this area in a long time, if not just in recorded history in general. Look at this, guys. By 7 p.m., not only are we seeing supercells develop on the HRRR, we see hook echoes on the HRRR with these supercells. That is something I've only seen a few other times before, and there are so many of them. So many. Again, each one of these supercells is going to be incredibly violent, and a potential significant tornado threat lasts all the way until around midnight. By 10 p.m. here, we're still dealing with discrete supercells across sections of Georgia and eastern Alabama, and that continues to push off to the east. We could still be dealing with an isolated tornado threat anywhere from, say, Atlanta, Georgia, back down through the Florida Panhandle there. Would not be surprised to see another tornado or two, and after that, they, for the most part, start to taper off there in terms of discreteness, and we see a big-time line of storms develop. All right, this is 7 a.m. by Sunday morning. We're going to be dealing with a big-time damaging wind threat. I will say that much. All the way from sections of Pennsylvania back down through the Florida Panhandle, we're going to have a line of storms that could be producing damaging winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour. So that is going to be our risk for Sunday. But again, Saturday, I just don't think I've seen anything like this since I've started forecasting. I mean, this is just an unbelievable HRRR run. I mean, it literally, I don't think I've ever seen this other than in past events. Again, significant tornado parameter values maxing out. Or not maxing out, but getting darn close to it on the Radar Omega scale and the HRRR scale as well. Again, sorry, I'm kind of slow today. I'm just genuinely shocked. I really am. Again, this is crazy. It's unbelievable. It really is. Again, everybody, every single person in that pink shaded area, the red shaded area, and even the orange shaded area, I know you've been in events like this before. Alright. If you've lived in Dixie Alley your entire life, you know what to do. But the problem for some people is actually doing it. And in this event, it is going to be more vital and important than ever to protect you and your family, as well as your property, that you get what you need to do done, all right? If there's a tornado warning, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of something. You need to quit whatever you're doing, drop it all, and seek shelter. Because there is a good chance that a lot of these supercells that we see tomorrow, and not all of them, but a lot of them, are going to produce tornadoes. And again, these are not your typical, touchdown for a few seconds, rope tornadoes. These are going to be big ones. Again, we're not throwing out EF ratings or anything. We're not going to say, oh, there's going to be an EF5 tomorrow. Oh, there's going to be probably a few EF4s tomorrow. We're not doing that. Because it doesn't matter. All right, people get too caught up in the numbers exactly, and I think people forget that every tornado is a dangerous tornado. Every single one. Not some of them, all of them. But these especially look like they are going to have the potential to be incredibly violent due to a loaded gun setup. This is a loaded gun setup. Surface-based Cape values reaching pretty darn well near 4,000 joules per kilograms at times. If we go back to the 12Z run of the HRRR here, we can actually take a closer look at that there. If you're not aware, typically you need anywhere from, say, 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of Cape to see tornadoes touch down. Now, in extremely high shear environments, you can obviously get tornadoes with even less than that. We've seen tornadoes touch down in no Cape environments, but that's a bit different, all right? In an event like this, you're going to need Cape, and we have plenty of it. We've got 3,700 joules per kilogram of Cape maxing out there at around 2, 3 p.m. Again, don't get too caught up in the exact areas, but look at this, guys. The 12Z HRRR throwing nearly 4,000 Cape over sections of Mississippi in the afternoon time hours of tomorrow. And this is where a lot of those violent tornadoes are going to touch down. And those Cape values just continue. This is 10 p.m., guys. 10 p.m. Again, talking about a tornado threat still through sections of Alabama and maybe as far east as western Georgia if their supercells make it that way early enough. And again, while that happens, there's going to be a little break in the storms here over sections of Alabama and Mississippi. And that is going to allow for more instability to approach these areas and another band of storms to develop. That's why these Cape values last until 2 a.m. And 2 a.m. type events, if you see more than 300 Cape left, you've got yourself a big event. We're seeing over 2,000 left, almost 3,000 at times. So, again, this is just insane. It really is. Again, a loaded gun setup. There's no other way to put it. Our SRH values are just, they might as well be infinite. All right, typically for tornadoes to touch down, again, I'm trying to give you guys relative numbers because I know some people don't understand. Typically, for tornadoes to touch down, you're going to want to have at least 200 SRH. That's kind of low, but it can happen with 200 SRH. And in this event, we are talking about 850. Getting close to 900 at times. Could it get up to 1,000? It's possible. Again, this is just unbelievable, guys. Again, HRRR. Oh, my gosh. HRRR 12Z having 1,200 joules per kilogram of, oh my gosh, or sorry, not 1,200 joules per kilogram, I'm an idiot, about 1,100 SRH over sections of Mississippi. Again, don't get caught up in the exact locations, obviously, because that's going to change, but take the general area as your guide. 1,114 SRH. Again, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Again, I'm trying to be as, sincere and honest with you guys as possible. But this is just not looking good. It's just not. Sam saying, have a way to receive warnings for sure. That is going to be the most vital thing here, because the advantage that we have in 2025 is we have tornado warnings. We have severe thunderstorm warnings. We have flash flood warnings. If there is significant weather coming your way and the National Weather Service is able to spot it, they're going to let you know. And most of the time, you're going to get to know a well bit ahead of time. And we try to do that here as well. Now, if you don't know what's coming, you think, oh, it's just a thunderstorm, and, you just sit there on your living room couch watching TV during it, that is not going to be okay. So you have to make sure that you've got, we recommend at least 2 ways to receive alerts, because usually there's going to be a failure in one of them if it's an event like this potent. So, for example, if you're like, what the heck does he mean by ways to receive alerts? Well, no weather radios, they're a really good way. They're going to go off and beep at you anytime there's a tornado warning. A lot of you guys down here in Dixie Alley likely have those. We're also talking about streaming on this channel, because we did commit that we would do a 12-hour live stream if a high risk got issued for tomorrow, and that did end up happening. So we're going to have coverage for you guys all day tomorrow, all day long. We're going to go live as soon as those tornadoes start to touch down. I mean, look at this, guys. This is noon tomorrow. We've already got, oh my gosh, dude. Again, literal bean-shaped supercells on the HRRR popping up at 12 p.m. But again, it's that little band of discrete moisture bombs, as I'm going to describe them here, pulling out from the Gulf, and just, again, I don't want to be dramatic or scare anybody, but potentially wreaking havoc across sections of these states. Again, it's just crazy. I don't know what to say other than that. Now, we do have a risk for today as well, and that risk is nothing to scoff at. This is still going to be the biggest risk that we've had so far this year for a tornado threat. We've got a moderate risk of severe weather extending all the way from sections of northern Mississippi and a little sliver of northwest Alabama back through portions of Iowa here. This is a large moderate risk of severe weather. And we can see that we're going to be dealing with some thunderstorms developing mainly around 4 p.m. here is when they're going to start across sections of western Missouri and northeast Kansas. Now, we do have some thunderstorms out there right now, and we actually had a severe thunderstorm warning just a few moments ago on the north side of Kansas City. But the main band that is going to produce our derecho event here is going to start to pop up really around 3-4 p.m. The HRRR and the NAM have both been pretty consistent on that timing. Now, things are going to get intense around 6. We're going to be talking about significant damaging winds starting to become evident all the way from an area like Lincoln, Nebraska, back through Springfield, Missouri. That big old band of storms there. Again, you can see that Boeing effect there with those storms. I mean, that is just crazy to see on the HRRR. And at the same time, we're going to have supercells developing down into sections of Arkansas and Louisiana, and these are going to be bring the potential for an isolated strong tornado or two, as this environment here is just very, very potent. Again, we've got a lot of shear, a lot of cape. Don't listen to this, but what is going on here with the HRRR's run on this supercell? There's a 74 dBz on the HRRR. That's not something you see too often. But anyway, in all seriousness, once again, discrete supercells are going to be a possibility down into sections of the lower Mississippi Valley. Now, you may be thinking, well, why does the moderate risk not go down into the lower Mississippi Valley then? Why does it stop at Memphis, Tennessee? That is because these cells are not going to be entirely discrete at all times. Sure, we are going to have some discrete supercells, but not all of them are going to be discrete. Some of them are going to turn into this kind of clustery mess, and that is still going to promote a very large hail and wind threat, and we could potentially see an embedded tornado in the storms like that. But the bigger threat comes whenever you have discrete supercells. So something like this is not really going to have too intense of a tornado threat. Hail and wind are going to be the main things with something like that. Now, at the same time, our derecho event is thriving at around 10 p.m. tonight. We have that stretching all the way from sections of Arkansas back into portions of Iowa there, also prompting a significant winter storm threat for sections of the northern plains at the same time. But you'll start to notice here that same kind of thing that we were talking about down in the southern Mississippi Valley is starting to pop up in portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley associated with our derecho. And a lot of those little discrete supercells that become non-attached to our line are going to have a very real chance of producing a significant tornado or two. Again, this is 12Z HRRR here, showing legitimate hook echoes on these storms. Again, I had to do a quick double take there because that doesn't even look real. If you're not aware, what happens is whenever a supercell is about to produce a tornado, there's a feature on radar that appears. that we usually call a hook echo. And the reason this pops up is because we have an area of inflow poking into our thunderstorm, which is indicative of rotation. And what it does on the radar aspect is it creates this kind of hook shape here on the edge of the storm that's just not the same as the rest of the shape with the other storm. And we call that a hook echo. Whenever we see hook echoes, we know that something big is about to go down. The HRRR is picking up on signatures of inflow on supercells that haven't even developed yet. That is how stacked this environment is. Again, this is insane. I mean, that's crazy. Unbelievable. But anyway, as we continue to go throughout the nighttime hours, we're still going to see a few more discrete supercells popping up across sections of western Kentucky and western Tennessee. Our line will kind of start to dip down in intensity there as it makes its way across the Illinois-Indiana state line. This is around 3 a.m., but we could still see some isolated gusty winds and maybe a brief tornado or something like that back through sections of southern Indiana here. I certainly wouldn't rule it out. But that is today's forecast. Now, again, the 16Z run of the HRRR looks a little more intense for this event here. If we take a look at things, we can see that if it would like to load, that would be spectacular. Please. Please load. Please just work with me. You're not working with me. Okay, there we go. We can see that the 16Z run of the HRRR, again, it already has some storms popping up here in the early afternoon time hours, but that big band of convection, that big explosion of convection even, I'd call it, kind of pops up around 4 p.m. across sections of eastern Kansas, western Missouri there. And that is going to be the start of our event here. Again, while these cells are still semi-discrete, we actually could see a brief tornado somewhere here in an area like western Missouri or extreme eastern Kansas. I wouldn't rule it out. And again, at the same time, we're going to have supercells developing down to the south, but at this point, they're mainly just going to be gusty wind and small hail makers. But as we go later into the evening time hours, we're going to talk about a lot of those cells down to the south becoming discrete and becoming stronger. Again, we cannot rule out a couple of tornadoes potentially strong here across sections of the lower Mississippi Valley later tonight. And at the same time, again, by 8 p.m., we're dealing with a huge line of storms here. And again, a likely derecho event extending back through portions of Iowa. And again, as that continues to push off to the east, a lot of those cells become discrete. Now, this is 11 p.m. The 16Z run of the HRRR. After having that first cluster of storms pop up in the lower Mississippi Valley in the afternoon, it actually does have a few more there in sections of Louisiana and Arkansas. At this point, the environment's going to be a little more stabilized, so the tornado threat's going to be a little bit lower with those likely, but still wouldn't rule out a brief tornado or something like that. This is 1 a.m. here. Again, definitely going to have a significant chance for a brief, strong tornado or something like that back through sections of eastern Arkansas if something like this plays out where we've got discrete supercells like that. And then again, the same thing kind of happens with our line of storms. You'll notice northern and eastern Illinois here, big old line of storms. That is going to promote a very significant damaging wind threat. Give me just a sec. I gotta sneeze. Oh. Sorry about that. That is going to promote a significant damaging wind threat. Again, the SPC has actually mentioned damaging winds all the way up to 100 miles per hour being a possibility, which, again, are tornado force winds. So it doesn't matter if you see a tornado or not at that point in your town. If you've got wind speeds at 100 miles per hour. So, again, do be safe if you're out here in this area. But the greater threat for tornadoes comes further down to the south, where some of those discrete little supercells kind of start to break off from our line, becoming tornadic likely very quickly if this were to play out. And again, guys, the thing that makes me so sad is this is 2 a.m. There are people that are going to have an awesome Friday night tonight. It is nice outside. They're going to have so much fun. And they're going to go to sleep. And a lot of them aren't going to be prepared. It's the dark truth. During events like this, there's always somebody. Shout out to Blaine for the $1 dono. There's always somebody that doesn't take it seriously enough. Like, they say this every weekend. Never happens. Well, this time, it's happening. So, people are not going to be prepared. They're not going to have ways to receive alerts. And if a tornado touches down, there's a good chance they will legitimately sleep through it. So if you're out here, you need to make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Again, southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, big-time tornado threat later tonight. And it will continue to push off to the east, again, gradually weakening as it makes its way through Indiana. But, yeah, it is quite heartbreaking. And, again, I'm honestly getting a little choked up just thinking about it. There are going to be people, and we know there are, that aren't going to take this seriously enough. But anyway, we do have some breaking news. We actually just got a mesoscale discussion. A 95% chance of a tornado watch being issued for sections of Missouri here very shortly. Let's go and bring this up on your screen. This is what things are looking like from the Storm Prediction Center website. Again, a 95% chance, might as well call it a 100% chance that a severe thunderstorm watch will be issued here for sections of western and central Missouri, back down through northwest Arkansas, all the way back through portions of southern Iowa, potentially, sometime between now and the next couple of hours. Again, in this area in particular, we are expecting damaging winds up to 80 miles an hour to be a possibility, hail potentially up to around tennis ball size, and maybe a few tornadoes touching down. Again, the greater threat's going to come off to the east. And I'm going to be so real with you guys right now. We're almost certainly going to see a PDS severe thunderstorm or tornado watch with that easterly watch. We have just such a stacked environment. Damaging wind gusts up to 100 miles an hour being a potential. Strong tornadoes tonight. And again, large hail, I think, is something that a lot of people are sleeping on. We'll talk about that here in a second. But again, severe thunderstorm watch will be issued here shortly. Or potentially a tornado watch. But large hail, I think, is actually something that people aren't talking enough about at all for an event like this. Obviously, people are talking about the wind threat. And again, that is significant. We're going to be talking about likely a derecho event here for sections of the Midwest, which is not good because the last few derecho events that we've seen in this area have been very devastating. They have. They've ruined the economy in ways. I mean, destroying all those corn crops, destroying businesses. It's all devastating. But anyway, they talk about the wind threat. Obviously, people love talking about tornadoes. And yes, there's a big tornado threat again. We've gone over that. But I don't think people are talking enough about this hail threat, guys. We have a 30% hatched risk of large hail tonight from sections of southwestern Illinois and central Missouri, all the way back through a sliver of northwestern Alabama, northern Mississippi. Again, hail potentially up to softball sized cannot be ruled out tonight. This is a very real threat. Whenever you start to get hail that large, if you're driving down the roads, that smashes your windshield. No doubt about it. There's a chance that since we've got, again, gusts potentially up to 100 miles an hour tonight, some of that hail gets blown sideways and smashes windows. Hail does a lot more damage than what a lot of people think. So, again, make sure that you're bringing your cars inside tonight, because a 30% hatched risk for large hail is very significant. But anyway, again, this is just insane. I'm gonna go and get Sam and Blaine thrown up on the donation board here. Again, thank you, Sam, for the $2 dono and Blaine for the $1 donation. Again, sorry I'm doing this a little late. Again, it's just crazy. I genuinely am in shock. I don't remember. I think it's Y, right? But anyway, again, it is really sad to think about the fact that people are not going to be taking this seriously. Again, it is quite heartbreaking. Yeah, I don't naturally have a stutter. I promise you. This is just very scary. And again, it is always the people that don't take it seriously. They don't have ways to wake them up if a tornado warning goes off. And they don't seek shelter sometimes, even if they know there's a tornado warning. Those are the people that always end up getting hurt. So, again, take things as seriously as possible. Anyway, let's go back to the Storm Prediction Center website. Again, for anybody that's wondering, why the heck is he not talking about Saturday? We did a whole beginning of this stream on Saturday. For some reason, the home SPC website still says moderate. I guess it's going to continue to say that because moderate is the day one outlook. But, again, high risk of severe weather has been issued for sections of eastern Mississippi and central Alabama. Again, just unbelievable. Is there a chance this gets upgraded to a 45% hatch risk? It is certainly possible. Again, whenever you get discrete supercells to that magnitude, it looks like what the forecasting looks like for May 20th, 2019. Now, if you don't know about May 20th, 2019, it was a 45% hatch risk across sections of the eastern Texas Panhandle and southwestern Oklahoma. And the reason things didn't play out like expected is because cells were not discrete, right? They were not these little discrete supercells with hook echoes that were producing violent tornadoes. It was one big line of storms for the most part. Now, that did bring a significant damaging wind threat, but it's nowhere near as devastating as it would have been if there was a tornado touching down to that intensity, obviously. Now, it is crazy to think about the fact that that is the difference between a violent tornado outbreak and an absolute nothing burger, a bust even. It all depends on how close these storms are to each other. And as I said earlier, in my humble opinion, the one thing, the only thing that is going to stop our setup for tomorrow is if these cells are not entirely discrete. Now, no matter what happens with the forecasting between now and tomorrow, we're going to see some tornadoes. There is a 100% chance that we see at least one tornado tomorrow. However, the amount and the intensity are highly dependent on if these supercells are going to be discrete. Look at this. There are so many of these discrete little supercells across southeast Louisiana and eastern Mississippi tomorrow morning. And if this were to happen, we could be talking about a situation where we have 5 to 10 tornadoes on the ground at the same time. But if these supercells get just a mile closer to each other, none of them might produce tornadoes. It is genuinely possible. Now, again, there are going to be times of the day where tornadoes are going to happen, even if they're not entirely discrete. This setup is just so potent that it's going to happen. And again, HRRR is showing cells that will be discrete. For example, this area, central western Alabama there tomorrow night. Very discrete supercells. Again, a lot of them as well. And the problem is they're really not close enough to each other to choke themselves off. So significant tornadoes are definitely going to be a possibility with those. But there are not many failure modes for tomorrow. But the one that there is a non-discrete environment. Again, that is exactly what killed May 20th, 2019. Potentially the lowest and high risk of all time, and it was a 45% hatch risk. This is what the SPC was looking like on May 20th, 2019. I believe we even had a PDS 95 tornado watch. But this was the outlook that we had. 45% hatch tornado risk across sections of west central Oklahoma and the eastern Texas Panhandle. What actually happened on that day, you ask? Well, if we look at May 20th, 2019 tornado outbreak, we go over to Wikipedia. We can see, where's it at? Let's go to May 21st. May 21st. What am I saying? Why did I already forget what day it was? I had a brain fart. May 20th. May 20th, 2019. We go to this here. Sure, we had that high-risk severe weather, 45% hatch risk. It really wasn't that intense of an event. If we take a look at confirmed tornadoes from May 21st, we can see we only had one tornado of EF3 rated intensity. In the entire event, we did have 62 tornadoes touch down. Oh my goodness, Alan with the $10 dono. Thank you so much. W. Allen's in the chat. But we did have 62 tornadoes touch down, roughly. However, only one of them got to EF3 intensity, which again goes to show that we can see nothing in an event where supercells are too close to each other, but if they're spread out just 5 miles apart, we can see the outbreak of a lifetime. Again, it doesn't matter if you have as stacked of an environment as this. If you don't have discrete supercells, you're not going to get as much as you would otherwise. There was a much better way I could have worded that, but I'm kind of stumbling over my words today. Again, I'm quite literally in shock. But huge shout out to Alan for the $10 donation. Again, you guys are what keeps this channel running. I would not be able to do things like go live for 12 hours tomorrow if I wasn't making any revenue. And again, I'd love to do it, but I wouldn't be able to do it because I would have to get a part-time job, all that nasty stuff. So I seriously do thank all you guys for all those donations. That's incredible. But anyway, again, it's just crazy stuff. It really is. So, yeah, I mean, that is about all we have to say. Again, we're going to be back later this evening for today's event. Do not worry, we are going to be here potentially up to like 8 hours if we need to tonight. And again, potentially up to 12 hours tomorrow if necessary. Because again, we did promise we were going to do that if we got a high risk issued. So I'm not going to say we're going to do 12 hours guaranteed no matter what. Because if there's nothing going on, obviously, we're not going to be live. But if necessary, we will do a 12-hour stream tomorrow. So make sure to subscribe with notifications on so that you get notified. Because we're going to let you know every time there's a tornado warning issued over the next couple days. Before we end off, I do want to quickly mention, again, there is a winter storm threat with this system, and blizzard warnings actually just were issued for sections of northeast South Dakota and west central Minnesota, just for a few counties there. Again, extremely strong winds are going to be kicking up a lot of that heavy snowfall and creating blizzard conditions at times, so don't sleep on the blizzard threat, guys. Again, obviously, you're not going to be seeing anything as intense as if you were in the severe weather threat, but a big-time blizzard can still knock you out, so please be safe up there. What's up, William? But yeah, anyway, I think that's all we have for right now. Again, we're going to be back later. This was really just a forecasting stream because nothing's going on right now. Again, we do have a few thunderstorms developing into sections of Missouri, but that's about it. So we'll come back later whenever things pop off. I am getting my permit tonight, so that's what I'm going to be doing in between streams here. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next one.